In the same vein as simplicity, in the same vein as slowness, would be silence and solitude. And we put those two together. You could probably call them separate disciplines, but I really believe that silence and solitude belong together. In Mark 6, he writes, "Then because so many people were coming and going that they did not even have a chance to eat, he," that is Jesus, "said to them, 'Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest.'" You know, I'm enjoying some rest in a quiet place right now, and I realize how important that is in every age. In Matthew 14, when Jesus heard what had happened, he withdrew by a boat privately to a solitary place. After he had dismissed them, that is the crowds, he went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. Later that night, he was there alone. There are times when we absolutely need to get away and be by ourselves. In Luke 4, it says, "At daybreak, Jesus went out to a solitary place." Mark, Matthew, Luke all record Jesus taking time to be alone so that he can spend time with the Father without any kind of interruption. And that's important for us, because even if we have a daily quiet time where we read the Bible, meditate on the Bible, and spend time in prayer, even if we do that every day, there should be some times in our lives where we withdraw for more time, more concentrated time with Jesus, where we're further away from the normal activities and routines of our lives. Dallas Willard said the most radical of the disciplines for life in the Spirit is silence and solitude. The most radical. You know, when we get away from all the things that clamor for our attention, it's really easy for God to get our attention. So enjoying freedom from the forces of society that relentlessly mold us, that's our definition of silence and solitude. Enjoying freedom from the forces of our culture that relentlessly mold us. You know, all of us have a liturgy. You know, we're listening to maybe talk radio, we're reading the newspaper, or we're watching CNN or Fox News. Whatever we're doing as part of our regular routine, that's kind of our liturgy. And all of that shapes us. We're reading social media, we're reading people's posts on Facebook or Instagram. All of that impacts who we're becoming, the conversations we're having at work or at home, with friends, with family. When we withdraw and experience silence and solitude, we get a chance to let God mold us instead of all of those other forces that are trying to move us in a direction that's different from where God wants to move us. Now, this is distinct from loneliness. You know, you can be around other people and be lonely. You can have silence and solitude and not have an ounce of loneliness. It can be a very powerful force in your life for good. Solitude and silence help us hear the voice of God better. I mean, there's just not as much to distract us. Number two, solitude and silence restore us physically and spiritually. It really is restorative to be away from stuff and away from noise. It really is. It's invigorating. Solitude and silence help us control our tongues. When we're in the middle of work and busyness, and we go from one thing to another, even when we go home straight from work, sometimes we end up saying things without stopping to think about what our purpose is and whether or not it's a legitimate goal. But when we get away from everything and we go silent, we can really start thinking about what we're doing, where we're going, and the effect it's having on the people around us. Here are some practical ideas to get you started. Number one, turn off the radio in the car. Why do we have to have noise all the time? Why do we always have to be listening to something? There are times when I will want to listen to the radio, to music, or listen to maybe a podcast in the car, and there are other times where I make a mental note that I've done too much of that lately, and I'll just choose to be silent, alone with God. Number two, turn off background noise like radio or television at home. You know, some of us always have something going, the TV or music. We have something always going at home. We have background noise because we hate silence. Shut it off. Number three, develop a quiet place in your home or nearby. Find a place that you can go to regularly where there's zero noise or distractions. Number four, go a whole day without speaking. Now, you might not can do that at work, but maybe on an off day, go an entire day where you choose to say nothing. It's pretty radical. Number five, Find time to be alone a couple of times every day. If it's especially hard for you to be away from distractions and noise, just make time. You know, all of us are allowed to spend 15 minutes twice a day in break. That's simply required by law if we're working. Instead of just going and gabbing with other people who are smoking or hanging out in the break room, why don't you just go be by yourself? Allow yourself to center on God for just 10, 15 minutes. That's really powerful. Number 6, take minute retreats throughout the day. Maybe you can't come up to the White Mountains. I mean, I can't come here very often and retreat and get away from stuff. But maybe what you could do is just find 1 minute of your day to shut your door, close your eyes, and just be silent. Number 7, several times a year withdraw to reorient your life goals. So this is a good place to come, you know, maybe twice a year, and ask yourself, where am I headed? How have I been doing my goals so far? Should I change some of my goals? Am I going the direction I want? Has God interrupted me? And think about all the people that had 2020 goals and then COVID came and changed everything. This is a great year, right, to have stopped at some point and said, I need to reevaluate what my goals are. Number 8, trade daily responsibilities to make time for retreating. Trade daily responsibilities to make time for retreating. Take on somebody else's stuff one day and then give some of them your stuff. Like maybe if you pick up your kids every day, what if you just said to a friend, hey, how about I pick up your kids and my kids tomorrow? And the day after that, you pick up my kids and your kids. And then one of those days, of course, you have nothing to do at that time and you can withdraw and be quiet. Find a way to make time where there is no time, to experience the silence and solitude that we all need to make a radical break from a culture that's molding us into its own shape.